The WNBA championship game was cruising along like a well-tuned machine until, like a heavy fog descending on a clear day, a controversial call turned the event into an absolute whirlwind. Basketball fans are known for their passion, and when a game as monumental as the WNBA Finals gets derailed by a questionable decision, it sets the internet ablaze, turning casual sports conversations into heated debates. And this call? It wasn't just any run-of-the-mill decision. It was the type of call that makes people years later say, "Remember that game?" Yeah, that game. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. In the fourth quarter of the WNBA Finals, where every dribble felt like a heartbeat, and each pass was a life decision, the referee's whistle interrupted what was shaping up to be a climactic moment. A close matchup had the game hanging on a thin thread, and then happened. A controversial call that seemed to have come out of left field. It wasn't just the timing that ruffled feathers, it was the nature of the call itself. The officials ruled a seemingly minor infraction against the defending champions in a moment that many felt could have just as easily been ignored. The crowd collectively inhaled as the referee raised his hand, signaling a foul that nobody else seemed to have seen. The stadium was an orchestra of reactions, each fan playing their part. On one side, the supporters of the team that benefited from the call were grinning ear to ear, quietly muttering to their neighbors, "Well, we'll take that." Meanwhile, the opposing side was a college of widened eyes, slack jaws, and flailing arms, their disbelief pouring out in incoherent yells like a high-pitched symphony of anger. The players on the court seemed to freeze for a moment, eyes darting between the scoreboard, the referees, and their teammates, trying to grasp what had just transpired. It was a moment so unexpected that even the broadcasters were caught off guard. The play-by-play commentator, seasoned from years of calling critical games, stammered through his words, fumbling with phrases like a kid who forgot their line in the school play. The analyst's voice got that pitch of restrained outrage, the kind a parent uses when they see their toddler feeding spaghetti to the dog, surprised but not entirely shocked. After all, sports are as unpredictable as they come. In the midst of all this, the coaches took center stage. One of them, always stoic with the calm of a school principal during an unexpected fire drill, lost his cool. He jumped from his seat like he sat on a thumbtack, yelling at the referee with a finger pointed so rigid it could have been mistaken for a weapon. His voice echoed through the arena, the kind of booming shout that draws heads in a crowded subway station. Meanwhile, the other coach was trying their best not to laugh, hiding a smirk that betrayed just a bit of satisfaction with the turn of events. The expressions on their faces were so different that it felt like watching a sitcom where one character's punchline hits, and the other is left standing there trying to figure out where it all went wrong. But the players were the real drama kings and queens of this unfolding saga. On the team that suffered from the call, their star player stood there motionless, staring into the distance like someone who just dropped their phone screen down on the pavement. Another player threw her hands up in the air, looking at the referee as if to say, "Are you serious right now?" Some fans swore they could hear her mutter words that would make a sailor blush, and while the exact phrasing was lost in the noise of the crowd, the frustration was as clear as day. On the other side, the opposing team's players were trying hard not to seem too smug, but their efforts were in vain. One player stifled a giggle, covering her mouth like she just got away with something. Another gave her teammates a quick, satisfied nod, the kind you see from a kid who just snuck an extra cookie without getting caught. Their expressions collectively said, "We don't make the rules, we just play the game." Yet, as any sports fan knows, the referees are like the directors of a movie. They set the stage, and sometimes the actors get upset when they aren't happy with their direction. Fans began turning their frustration towards the officials with boos so loud it seemed the roof might pop off. It wasn't just any disagreement, this was a mutiny. A man in the front row, wearing the team's colors like he was about to take the court himself, stood up and yelled with such intensity his face turned as red as his shirt. He turned to the person next to him, waving his arms and repeating the same rant over and over, as if he believed that if he shouted it enough times, it would somehow change the outcome. The call changed everything. The momentum shifted faster than a runaway train, and the team that had previously been on top suddenly found themselves scrambling to keep up. It was like watching a cat chase after a laser pointer, frantic and without a clear path forward. Meanwhile, the other team, seemingly lifted by the referee's decision, moved with newfound confidence like someone who just got a free pass in a board game and was determined to make the most of it. The pace of the game from that point on was frenetic, with players pushing themselves like they were running from the clock. There was a desperation in the eyes of the losing team, A fire that burns when you feel cheated but know there's nothing you can do about it except fight harder. And fight they did, launching into a furious rally that fans on both sides leaping to their feet with each basket. It was the sort of comeback attempt that's more adrenaline than strategy, where every play seems to be fueled by emotion rather than careful planning. But despite their best efforts, that controversial call became the defining moment of the game. As the final buzzer rang, the score reflected a narrow win for the team that had been on the lucky side of the whistle. The crowd's reaction was split, with one side celebrating like they'd just won the lottery, while the other sat in stunned silence, like they were trying to process an unexpected plot twist in a movie they thought they had figured out. The players shook hands with the grace of actors accepting their fate after a final curtain call. But the tension in those brief interactions was palpable. One could almost see the unspoken words being exchanged in those firm grips and tight-lipped smiles. Congratulations on the win, and maybe silently, but you know that wasn't right. It was sportsmanship layered with a hefty dose of human frustration. After the game, the buzz around the call didn't die down. If anything, it picked up steam. Sports analysts, fans, and even former players weighed in on the situation. Some said it was an honest mistake, the kind of thing that happens in high-pressure moments when even the best trained eyes can miss a detail. Others claimed it was a travesty, a blot on an otherwise competitive game. But regardless of where people stood, there was no denying that this was the moment that would be remembered. Critics of the call compared it to other infamous moments in sports history, decisions that seemed to defy logic, reason, and even basic eyesight. It became one of those moments that would forever be linked to this particular WNBA Finals, like a permanent asterisk in fans' memories. Sports, in all its chaos and glory, thrives on moments like these, moments when what happens on the court becomes the stuff of legends debated and discussed long after the players have left the building. But beyond the call itself, the incident spoke volumes about the unpredictable nature of sports and how a single decision can shift the narrative in the blink of an eye. For the fans of the team that lost, it was a bitter pill to swallow, a feeling that something had been taken from them. For the players, it was a moment of deep frustration, a feeling of battling through an entire season only to have it hinge on one call. And for the team that benefited, there was the bittersweet victory of knowing that the win, though celebrated, would always have that question mark hanging over it. The players on both sides handled it as well as anyone could expect. They went through the post-game routines, press conferences, media appearances, each side addressing the elephant in the room in their own way. The winning team's captain gave a cautious response, choosing her words like someone picking their way through a minefield, while the losing team's star couldn't completely hide the frustration simmering just below the surface. It was a balancing act, a mix of professional composure and genuine human emotion. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.